Hello everyone, welcome to JACKDAMJIEN YouTube channel. Freedom Convoy has eventually been put down, and they have been ascended by Emperor Justin Trudeau. It's been a while since I streamed. Usually, a while since I streamed without the helmet power, and it's alright because the fact of the matter is, there's tyranny taking hold in this country. There's tyranny also taking hold in Canada, the North. Rights being squelched and denied. Day by day, we are losing more and more rights. How the truckers supposed to fight back if they're allowed to work? I guess being taken from them, all the livelihoods and money, everything they fight for, everything they believe in. They have the wage of their house, or retirement savings, or just everything we have, just so we can have freedom and demonstrate that in the street as a diplomatic country that is first to theocracy will allow people to speak. It's a very hard question, probably Jordan Peterson to answer it. I can force an answer it myself. I might qualify to answer it myself. I would only say reasonably, we expect people to fight for their rights, especially if those rights are being trampled. The people that are in charge of making rights. The government of California didn't care anything about the COVID restrictions until it started keeping him from going to that restaurant that cost $700 a plate. Once his freedom was infringed upon, then he decided to do something about it. And I'm not the smartest knife on the show, but I think that once you have something that you really care about it's being taken away from you, you start to fight. If you have the wherewithal to do so. So it's always a question: when should we actually take a stand? When's the best time? You say you stand with the truckers. It's a mistake. You're risking. Then it's right. So if you don't stand, are you making a stand? According to DC Bonhoeffer. But that decision has to be a very consequential decision to make. And if you are a truck driver, you should organize this thing well, make sure it's done right. You don't want to halfway do it. You don't want to do it in a way that causes you massive losses one way or the other. And you have to make sure that you're ready to get that over the gang. Strength is also important. There's a lot of people who don't really understand what it is innate human rights of the people, and those rights can be separated from what country you're in, what race you are. We have universal human rights, and all human beings are dealt with rights. Some cannot be taken away. There needs to be consequences for people that would be engaging in tyranny. We take those rights from those individuals that truly want to have a free country. Politically, all we can do is to vote for legislation, support legislation that supports you. I'm an American citizen. You have the right to do that. But if you don't know that you have the right to do that, I think you're at a loss to try and take that first step and try and change all of these different abuses that are on your head. The government only needs so much power. Do they have no power? No, because some people like them to have power. We need to find free association and have people live their lives. Going back to normal is not good enough. Because going back to normal is a loss. You go back to normal, you have a series of restrictions that you didn't know you had. And then once all of this stuff happened, you notice that restrictions are actually real. You didn't have so much freedom as you thought you had. You see, the people in front are keeping you from your destiny just because you don't take the jab. But people are always like the edge of the cliff being pushed off. But they want to live. All they want to do is live. They don't want to live anymore. But it seems like that's too much. If you want to live, it's like a fencing. If you want to have freedom, You want to be able to make decisions for yourself and not use the federal government. It's like some kind of terrible thing. It's like you're racist, or you're misogynist, or you hate the government, or you hate your mother, or something like that. It's a shaming language. I mean, I'm not looking for race theory either. I think that those deep state operators are actually becoming racist. They're using racist because it's almost national pride and really just skin color, maybe nationalism. If you actually believe in freedom. Excuse me. Sorry. Actually, maybe bananas today. It's like, how much are you willing to take? How much are you willing to let them take from you? Store yourself fighting back and actually do something about it. I mean, you can always vote. You can write letters to your congressman. You can go to educational institutions and say that you don't agree with the things they're teaching. You can teach your kids at home. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do. It's not limitless amount of things to do. The government, in a way, has less limits than the average American person. Someone who's coming from another country, who does not live in this country, feels like they don't have rights. You need to understand they do have inalienable rights, setting foot on the soil, because they do have inalienable rights. All human beings deserve. Though maybe if you were living in Sri Lanka, or Lahore, or maybe Burundi, you would have those rights. When you step on these public shores, you do have those rights. You need to know that. You may not be a citizen, but you can fight for it throughout time. You can fight and get your citizenship situation squared away. You can get your green card. You can get your naturalization papers, and eventually you can do that. It's about work. It's about applying that work in the right place, using a laser pointer and shot your efforts towards your own individual sovereignty. You can own a house. You can own a Jeep Cherokee. You can own a Tesla that works on gasoline and electricity. But you've got to be willing to think about it and actually put forth the intellectual dirt and actually the type of utility you utilize yourself to actually get to that level. We're still focused on the January 6th congressional. Still digging into people's bank accounts. That's unjust. When's enough privacy? Privacy when they dig into our rights. And we just let it happen. Why does it keep going like that? We've had the Declaration of Independence for a reason. And this is like we're finally getting something back because the elections are coming back. There were chances to vote with a few Republicans. I mean, it'll change a bit. I mean, the Republicans will be there. But how fast can they really affect change? It can affect some change, but as long as they're there, we can actually get the right people into office to do our bidding because we're tax-paying citizens. And we can get ourselves in office as well. We can vote ourselves in office. We've got our people in the office, and we can clean this whole thing up. But you've got to be able to do it together. You've got to believe that we can do this together. And we can start to make a glorious triumph as one, as Americans, as human beings, as we're esteemed to be the greatest versions of Americans in this modern world, with the restrictions to gender, with the limits on government, with the advancement to self-actualization and actually freedom, evoking this idea of American hegemony, of personal hegemony, of believing in oneself, believing that doing one's best work is not all, but actually there's more than doing one's best, but our collective best, and that we groups get together and we can bring other groups together to help us to truly be Americans in America. It's our birthright to do that. Because in this country, you get anything you want, especially when you have your people in office. Well, I think that it's sobering now. It's taking just a short amount of time for us to look at rights. And so few people that want to fight and say anything about it. We're too focused on how many genders there are and the problem with freedom and lack of freedom. But In May 2020, the pandemic first started. There was a man with a non-journalist person. His name was Michelle Bachelet. He's saying that the pandemic has to be clear need, Washington to the need, has time bound, can't be forever. We've seen that some of the governments are using it to shrink, make more shrink, and space and possibility for civil society to express, and that's unacceptable, unquote. Michelle Bachelet. No, it's very succinct in this explanation and inspired millions of people around the world. And those individuals thought they would be accountable by keeping us in limitless COVID restrictions. But finally, those restrictions are starting to be rolled back and people are getting tired of them. There's only so much people will take. Justin Trudeau in Canada says he wants to impose fines on a prisoner and use financial institutions to render essential services to address situations by regulating and prohibiting the use of property, the funding support, legal blockades. But he himself is doing what he himself is keeping all the rights away from those who actually want rights, trying to change course because people are just not buying into the message. We have common sense, and we are damn plenty ready to show people common sense. It's true. Mr. Trudeau, we will not listen to your lockdown orders in perpetuity. You will have an important indictments. You cannot close the schools. You cannot deny quality education. You cannot prevent children from learning. Mass mandates are taking away our own self-decision-making abilities to keep ourselves free. Besides what's best for us, we can work. We have the freedom to work. Tech censorship, the death of Facebook, the slow death rate of Facebook, the inability to express yourself on social media platforms, the lack of ability for researchers to present research evidence that was anathema to what their COVID variations are teaching us. The lies, the propaganda, and the government take our rights away. What rights do we have? What little rights do we have? Even governments would not let us go to church, but let us buy things, purchase more materials, but not practice religious freedom. Well, there wasn't real thoughts for these leaders, these deities to have a collision to intimidate us. Around school settings, educational institutions, to shut up employees, to fire them, and punish them, and take away people's livelihoods. These people from liberal parties are even disagreeing with these speaking outs. Are these closed? Yes. Legal Strauss, JCPenney, Walmart, Target, Amazon, Facebook, Meta, Google Translate. Just kidding. So politics get too involved with this. See, the children need to be able to learn. You know, so why just lock the children down, punish them, not let them go to school? Say you can't go to school. The pandemic's over. It's never going to be over. We don't need to know when it's going to be over. We don't know when it's going to be over. The kids need to be in school. We have different methods, but reasonable ask people. It's like not tolerable. You just keep rolling out this critical race theory, excuse me. And I'm saying you're not a friend of APOC people, Latinx people, indigenous persons of America. But you're a sovereign citizen. And at one point, these people were very close proximity to them, very, very powerful positions, CEOs of companies. They could live from homes, and their narrative has collapsed. They don't have a new normal to be regular, so they can just get more money from us. And they can buy things we don't need, we don't think we don't need. It's saying that freedom kills people, but it doesn't. Joe Biden himself, he just wants to take people racist. He's saying that you're going to put somebody else in danger because you have freedom. So you should give up your freedom so other people can have freedom, and you shouldn't be able to live your life. You should just have to suffer on this COVID this. And first responders also suffer too. They're locked in sacked in their jobs because they want to take vaccines. Saying that you should cover your face and not eat with your face covered. You shouldn't use your hands to eat. You always use hand sanitizer with your dates and your burgers and such. You should always say 6 feet away from each other. Why keep it 5 feet? The average American is 6 feet. Maybe it should be 6 feet distance in Amsterdam. But also in the processes in Canada, you say have this message of freedom, what seems to be a message of non-freedom, just because they're trying to keep the elites from being completely controlled. They are the unwashed masses. They're the ones who need to shut up. The poor's going to have a voice. It's actually something you can attach to that idea. You can actually make people think that this is the way it should be because we say so. We keep your lights on. We take your income tax returns. We take your taxes. We build roads for you, private crappy. And so you should just shut your mouth and take it. And they go to their masters at the Super Bowl. They go masters at the French Laundry, spend $700 on a plate of shrimp and lobster. They're the one who split the rules. Get their hands done with Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco salon. And you say all these variants are coming every 2 months. You better buy it like it's a brand new CD from No Limit. And they just don't appreciate the rules themselves. But when we try to exercise our humanity, we're somehow wrong. Unbelievable. And now Hillary Clinton's been found to be spying. She actually spied on Trump. We know what's going on. We know the truth. We've read our books. We've done our homework. The stories that matter, you can have it from us. Those against freedom are raveling before our very eyes. We don't have to hunt you down. We've read our books. We've done our alt-right sites. Kept our eyes open and eyes sharp. And we will be in God. JACKDAMJIEN. Thank you. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.